Welcome to ZZ Talk with your hosts, Zino.
And Zeus.
This is the show about two guys who talk about any and everything, including sports, entertainment, with a heavy dose of pop culture. Nope, that's not it. With a heavy dose of politics. I swear, we've been doing this for 6 months, and I still get it wrong. Zeus, how are you doing?
It's all good, though. I've been doing good, man. So, speaking of our heavy dose of pop culture.
Nope, politics.
No. I'm talking about our pop culture. So, our last top 5, we did the top 5 shows that we're looking forward to the rest of the year, blah, 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 And then I mentioned, as one of my honorable mentions, was the Mighty Ducks show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie. I've been wanting to watch the Mighty Ducks since Disney Plus came out. But I'm over here thinking, it's not going to stand the test of time. And I kind of don't want to ruin that for myself. I'm like, nah, it's going to be too childish. It's going to be too campy. I'm not going to enjoy it. I watched it last night because one of the habits that I've been getting into is I just pop on a movie and then I have the kids with me and then I just rock them to bed. I'm sure somebody's going to be like, well, you should be putting them to bed with them. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, I rewatched it. Mighty Ducks stood the test of time for me. It was still a damn good movie. So much so that I got to knock in I got to do D2 and D3. But I was really pleasantly surprised that because some movies you rewatch them and then just like, why did I like this?
Yeah, I definitely understand that feeling where you're like, oh, this is an old movie and it might have, rust because of it. I felt that way about a movie that we're actually gonna talk about in passing later on. I felt that way about Mortal Kombat. I thought, oh, if I watch this, it's not going to stand test of time because I rewatched the Street Fighter movie. It is absolute trash. But Mortal Kombat, the first one, actually is pretty decent.
Yeah.
It is campy. The special effects are not quite there, but I think it's still good.
I think for me, the one that doesn't test, if you find out that I was like, oh, why was I entertained by this? I found it kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie, I still own it and I like it, but at the same time, I was like, man, this is kind of boring now. The Page Master with Macaulay Culkin. You remember when he gets sucked into the books and he like becomes a cartoon?
I know of it, but I don't remember the plot at all. Other than that,
I just remember that when I watched that show, I loved it. It was one of my favorite. If we had done a top 5 cartoon movie and I hadn't rewatched it, I would have probably thrown that in there. And then I saw it and I was like, nah, it was good when I was a kid. So, but
hey, another movie that stands test of time is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
All of them.
Yes.
Not just 2. All of them.
There was a 4th one, wasn't there? I know the 3rd one, they go back to samurai past.
So the first one is like really dark if you think about it. It's like this is not a kids movie. This is like
it's New York.
It's New York. Like when I heard what was it, Ralph just scream, damn! I was like, oh my god, Mom, he said a curse word. But 2 was good, 3 was good, 4 was the cartoon TMNT.
Oh, I love that. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good, and that was more recent.
The second one has the song from Vanilla Ice, the ninja rap.
Go classic. Ninja, go ninja, go.
Classic. Go. Hey, don't hit us with a copyright strike, YouTube. But yes. All right. So I think you're about to ask me how I'm doing.
I was about to ask you, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Not much has happened in the last 2 weeks. There was the Super Bowl. I did go to a store called H Mart for the first time. It's like an Asian supermarket type of thing. Mm-hmm. It's really good. Like I thought, okay, well, there's like Nam Dimon and all that stuff. I don't know, man. H Mart it's like massive. They've got all the fixings, especially if you like Korean barbecue, all that stuff to make your own Korean barbecue. It's right.
Honestly,
there.
You know what it is? That it's just like it's no different than like the Hispanic supermarket. Some of the Hispanic. Back in the day, there was on Beaufort Highway. It was called El Balu, and
like the valley. Is that what that?
Yeah, means? The valley. El Balu. It was right in front of the Beaufort Highway Flea Market, which is gone, and that's a travesty. But in there, it was the grocery store. But then, how on the left, it's either the dairy side or it's the meat department. Mm-hmm. In this case, it was the meat. I think it was the meat or the dairy was on the right side. And then on the left there was the meat, the like the other one, right? Either the meat or the dairy.
Yeah.
But that wasn't at the far left side of it. That was at the like an aisle at the very. After that, it was a flea market. It was like in a grocery store. They had places to cut your hair. They had places for you to places for you to buy, like some restaurants were there. I think there was places where you could buy clothes. It was like you were at an actual flea market. So that, if each one is anything like that, I might have to go check it out.
There's one place in Northern Virginia that, for the life of me, I can't remember what the name of the farmers market was called, but I used to like live right next to it in Chantilly, Virginia. But inside there, they have a restaurant called Punjabi by Nature. The best Indian food I've ever had. I've had quite a bit of Indian food, absolute best. Even my coworkers, I brought them. So I used to work 5 miles away from there. So for lunch, a couple of times, I would bring them back to my farmers market and say, "Hey, let's go to Punjabi by Nature," and they would swear by it. They'll be like, "This shit, sorry, this stuff is as good as back home." So if you're ever in Chantilly, Virginia, look for Punjabi by Nature.
If you curse, that means it's good.
Yes, yeah. I'll probably bleep it out so no one will ever know it happened. All right. So, anything else to add before we jump into things?
No, man. Tell us what's on the dash for today.
All right, cool. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do our top five as usual. But our top five is actually gonna be a direct link to our following topic, which is politics, right? So usually you do like a top five, and it's like an adjacent type of link. But no, we're actually going to be talking about the things that we list in the top five, because the top five are a list of quotes that people actually said without a sense of irony. They actually just said it, and we're like, wow. The first three are going to be quotes related to the second impeachment of the 45th president of the United States. And the next three are going to be about the crisis happening in Texas with the rolling blackouts and freezing temperatures and such.
The winter storm, the day after tomorrow level type of storm going on right now.
Right. Okay, shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So top five plus a dishonorable mention of things that people actually said this past week. All right. Number one, there is no question that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of that day. That was Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
But Zino, that sounds like a good quote.
No, it's not. Because this guy was there saying that President Trump was responsible for what happened on January 6th. Minutes. I mean, like 10 minutes max after voting to acquit President Trump of being responsible for what happened on January 6th. So yes, that's our number one quote, and we will be talking about that. All right. Number two, we didn't send him there to vote his conscience. We didn't send him there to do the right thing or whatever he said he was doing. We sent him there to represent us. This was the Washington County, Pennsylvania GOP chairman, Dave Bell, talking about Senator Pat Toomey, a Republican, who voted to convict Trump of inciting the insurrection on January 6th. He was basically angry that he voted to convict, and he said, nah, that's what we sent you there for. So that's number two. We'll talk about that on the other side. Number three, I guess these people care more about the election than you do. That's President Trump to Kevin McCarthy. After Kevin McCarthy asked President Trump to call off his MAGA goons who are storming the Capitol. So again, we'll discuss further on that. Zeus, as a native born Texan, please.
As I say, native born, not native of Texas.
Never mind. Yeah, you're a Falcons fan. I see the shirt.
I will be going there unless it's still frozen over. It's still a frozen tundra in about 3 weeks.
All right.
But hopefully by then the snow is melted. So these are all quotes related to the Texas, the day after tomorrow winter storm that's going on right now. That's caused homes to freeze. People passed away. So we're going to definitely talk about how tragic this is and how crazy this is. And even crazier than the actual natural phenomena that are happening as these people saying these things that is just ridiculous. So the first one is Greg Abbott. please, real quickly, Zeno, who is Greg Abbott?
Greg Abbott is the governor of Texas. That's it. That's the governor of Texas.
That's it. Hard stop. So his quote is, we'll discuss. This shows how the Green New Deal would be a deadly deal for the United States of America. Our wind and our solar got shut down, and they were collectively more than 10% of our power grid. And that thrust Texas into a situation where it was lacking power on a statewide basis. You guys can hear the moronic part alone from the percentage that he quoted.
Yeah, and we'll explain it further.
By the way, he also adds, it just shows that fossil fuel is necessary. Quick hint on the other percentage. The fifth, I guess this is the fifth quote, right? Mm-hmm. The fifth quote overall. Second quote about Texas is by Tim Boyd, who is the mayor of Colorado
City,
Texas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No one owes you or your family anything, nor is it the local government's responsibility to support you during your trying times like this, says a local government official. Sink or swim, it's your choice. The city and county, along with power providers or any other services, owe you nothing. Literally, big letters, he wrote that. I'm sick and tired of people looking for a damn handout. Again, this is an elected official who said that. And then our dishonorable mention, because he's just a dishonorable person.
Weasel.
For real, probably him, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, they're just like fighting on who is the worst person alive.
I don't know. I feel like Mitch McConnell, he's a pretty terrible person, but he's not constantly in our face about how terrible he is. Whereas those other two you mentioned, they're like...
Mitch McConnell is the Darth...
Sidious. No.
Sidious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where he's... Ted Cruz is just the moronic idiot that he uses, and he just gets away with some stuff, but he's still a moronic idiot. You can tell he's a moronic idiot. So
evil Ted Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Ted Cruz. With school canceled for the week, our girls asked us to take a trip with friends. Wanting to be a good dad, I flew down with them last night and I'm flying back this afternoon. This is a quote that he said after he ran through the ringer during this storm where people are stranded. Ted Cruz, a representative of Texas, decided to go to Cancun, California.
Mm-hmm. Cancun, Mexico.
Cancun, Mexico.
Are we trying to usurp Cancun from Mexico now?
He probably doesn't even know that it's Mexico. So yeah. So
don't you love it how these people...
That is our top 5, including our dishonorable mention.
Don't you love it how these people love Mexico but hate Mexicans?
Right.
But yeah. Okay, so that's our top 5. And now, officially, we're going to enter our politics section.